morning, everyone. I hope you had a great night in beautiful Hamburg, and I hope you had the chance to get a coffee before we start here. Welcome to our presentation. Today, I'm very happy to be here with my colleague Jelle. Jelle is product manager at Meshcloud. Myself, I'm one of the co-founders and CRO at Meshcloud. For those of you who haven't heard about Meshcloud, we are a young company based in Frankfurt, and we've built a cloud governance platform that helps organizations manage large-scale cloud environments. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we want to introduce you to a new tool that we've launched, which is open source and that every one of you can use, that helps you to get control of your Wild West cloud landscape. And before we start, I'd like to introduce you to the concept of a cloud foundation team. So a lot of organizations that move to the cloud, they do have some people that take care of the cloud environments. It can be one cloud, it can be two clouds. Some of our customers have 5 clouds. And these people, oftentimes a cross-functional team, we call it the cloud foundation team. And it's basically responsible for 3 things, right? It manages the creation and the access to cloud environments. It defines some security standards, and it pays the cloud bill in the end. And the customers of this cloud foundation teams are the DevOps teams that actually build the applications in the cloud. Now, not every organization does have a cloud foundation team yet, but certainly there's like this one person that you call when you need your cloud environment, your Azure subscription, your GCP project, or your AWS account, or you send an email to. So let's say this person is called George, and a couple of months after having started your cloud journey, George finds himself in this Wild West situation. And there are a couple of reasons why this is the case. So first of all, at some point, George, he really wants to drive the cloud journey of the organization, right? So whenever someone calls him, he actually follows, he creates this cloud environment. And while he's aware that he actually needs to keep track of what's going on, and he does that, he documents it, there are quite a pile of cloud environments being created across different clouds, and it's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on, especially because, there's not really a life cycle for the cloud environments being created, so they're not really deprovisioned after they are not in use anymore. So in order to make all that easier, George thought he will define a tagging strategy. So for every cloud environment created, he asks people to tell him what kind of environment this is, who's going to be paying for that later on, so which cost center is responsible for the costs occurring in that cloud environment, and who's responsible for the environment, so in case there's like a security leak or something, he knows who to contact and to actually take care of that. The reality, though, is that the tagging strategy doesn't really work. So the environments, while they are provided, sometimes they're called production, sometimes they're called prod. That's still fine. You can more or less understand what's going on in there. But if you want to automatically process this data, it's causing a bit of pain. The cost centers are just sometimes missing. And looking at the product owner, we see on the bottom right that Anna admin is nice, but actually there's no email address or contact data in order to contact her. So it's a bit hard to actually stay in control and understand what needs to be done. The next problem is that while George pays for the cloud environments and for the cloud costs at the moment, at a later stage, these costs should be distributed. And also he has to kind of take care that nothing unexpected is happening, but that's quite hard because he gets a lot of invoices for all the projects, but if he doesn't really know what's going on within each of the cloud environments, it's hard to actually map the costs to specific applications. And then at last, he gets asked all the time, can you give me access to that environment? Can you give me access to that other environment? Across different clouds again, people are leaving the organization, and he kind of has a bad feeling because he knows that there are probably a couple of permissions that shouldn't be there and that he has to control somehow. But again, he doesn't want to block his people and his teams in order from getting started. So he just provides the access and thinks about a way to handle that later. And in order to tackle that issue, which is an issue that basically every cloud native organization has, no matter the size. We are roughly 30 people now, and we also ran into the same issues. We've built Collie CLI to tackle that, and that's what we want to show you in our demo now. So Jelle,
yeah,
go
can
ahead.
you hear me? I think so. Yeah, I'll go into my terminal right now to show you Collie CLI. I hope it's readable. You see, is it okay or? Yeah, okay, great. Bit small. All right, better? All right. Okay, all right. Yeah, the first thing that I would like to show you, it's not really any rocket science, it's listing your tenants. Tenants are a terminology that we came up with, which basically means your AWS account, your Azure subscription, or your GCP project. So I can go ahead and run Collie tenant list. And this might be a bit messy now because of the font or the font size. So just zoom out a little bit again. So I can quickly see here which tenants do I have across AWS, Azure, and GCP. I see their name, their ID. You can see the tag that Christina just mentioned. Just have a look here, and yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Another nice little feature that we have is you can analyze your tags. So if you're curious about basically your tagging density, so how often are tags being used, I can do Collie tenant analyze dash tags. And I can see the following 5 tags being used: env, cost center, project owner, data confidentiality, and environment. Okay, I can see project owner is being used 100%, that's great, everybody is compliant with that tag. The same thing for data confidentiality. But I noticed that the cost center is missing somewhere, 90%. And I also see that the environment and env, they add up to 100, but you can see there's some inconsistency in the tagging key. And I would like to dive a bit deeper into the cost center, so I will go ahead, run the same command, but with details, and I want to filter for just that particular tag, so cost center. And then I can basically see, yeah, who's the bad guy, who didn't properly tag their tenant, and we see GCP, Liquid, Blockchain, Playground. Cool. I might now be interested in any costs that tenant is incurring. Maybe there's something fishy going on, so I can also dive a bit deeper into that. What we do then is Collie tenant costs, and I'd say we're having a look at the last 3 months, so let's say from the 1st of July until I think it's the 22nd today, so Collie, yeah. So let's have a look at costs again. Sorry for the small font, it's a bit difficult presenting this in a large font. So where is it? It's at the bottom here, and we see, oh, there's quite some cost being incurred there. €1,000 per month over the last 3 months. You see it here per month, so July till the end of July, etc. I think it pretty much explains itself. Again, I see the tag, so I might be getting a little bit more context. Okay, what environment is that? What cost center is it? And who should I get in touch with if I want to contact anybody from that particular team? And another feature we have is we can also see the identity and access management assets of that particular tenant. So I'm actually curious, like, who is working inside of that tenant. So what I do there is call the tenant IAM, short for identity and access management. Go ahead and run that, and let's have a look at the Liquid blockchain playground. I see it's 2 people with the admin role. A John Johnson at cryptominers.com seems a bit fishy, and we have Carl Crypto at liquid.io, that seems alright. And yeah, I think we shouldn't have somebody with cryptominers.com in our tenant, at least I wouldn't like to have that person in there. So I might be curious, okay, maybe that person has access anywhere else, so we can do that too. So we go ahead and do Collie user list. What's his name? John Johnson at cryptominers.com. And then I see across all platforms where that person has access, and we see indeed he also has access to another AWS tenant. I won't go ahead and show this now, but I would usually now go into the actual platforms and kick that person out because I wouldn't like him in there as a Cloud Foundation team member. And I basically got my EAM settled again. Another good use case for this is offboarding. So if a team member is leaving the company and you want to be sure did that person get correctly offboarded everywhere, I just do Collie user list the person's email and I quickly see where does that person have access. That's basically it for now. Another thing that I want to mention is we also offer some nice export features. So right now, and maybe I can actually zoom in a bit again. We're seeing table views right now, but maybe you're also interested in using a JSON export, YAML export, or even a CSV export. That's possible using the flag ---- format. And one really cool use case that we came up for that is the costs. So the costs, you can export them easily into a CSV file. And we actually went ahead and used that in Google Data Studio. I don't know if you guys use Google Data Studio, but it's basically Google's equivalent of Microsoft Power BI. So you import that CSV, you build a nice dashboard out of it, and if you go to our website, meshcloud.io, we wrote a great blog post, and we have an actual template for you, so you can build your multi-cloud dashboard in under 10 minutes. Yeah, that concludes our demo so far. Let's go back to the slide. So you might be curious, how do I get started? We built Collie in a way that it's very easy to get started. So we use the underlying cloud CLIs. So I would actually maybe see some hands who has the Azure CLI installed, AWS or GCP. Quite some people here, great. That's great. It uses those, so no need to do any integration, API keys or any kind of that stuff. It just uses your CLI under the hood. Installation literally takes less than a minute. You go to our README on GitHub, you copy the install command, put it in your terminal, and you're good to go. And of course, it's free to use. It's fully open source. I'll also show the GitHub page later. Then at last, one more thing. Little shout out to our Product Hunt launch. Who knows Product Hunt? Does anyone know producthunt.com? Oh, nobody.
Maybe
okay.
Someone online. So Product Hunt basically is a page where you can launch new products and... Yeah.
And we just did tonight. So you can scan the QR code on the right, there's some more info there. You can go to our GitHub directly, maybe leave a comment if you have any feedback for us or any questions, of course, we'll be able to answer those. And of course, we have our github.com repository, which is right here, which you can find at Meshcloud, our company, /Collie CLI. Yeah, go ahead, check it out. There's a nice little README. Like I said, commands, just a one-liner, copy it into your shell, into your PowerShell, and you are good to go. Oh, wrong. Yeah, thank you for watching our presentation. We hope that you will give it a shot. It's super easy to get started, and for those here physically present, we do have some nice meshy stickers. That's our little mascot, our little sheep.
We don't have any Collie stickers yet, though.
No,
so
they'll be there maybe next year. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.